Hello, and welcome back once again to Belmont Bunch. Today, we are going over the off-season preview for the New York Islanders. A little overview of all the different things that can happen. Free agency starts Friday at noon, East Coast. So, yeah, decided to do one big video. So, let's get right into it. The Islanders currently have about 8.9 million in cap space. That is deceptive because that looks like a decent amount. But you look at the RFAs that have been qualified. This doesn't even count the guys that are UFAs that the Islanders might want to bring back, like Brassard or Martin. Here you've got Barzal, Pulock, Taves, and the rest of it is pretty much minor league depth, except for Ho-Sang, who we'll see could possibly, best case scenario for him, third line role for us. Or he can get traded because qualifying a guy just means that you have his rights. You could trade his rights. And then Sebastian Aho on the bottom there, minor league depth at the moment, but I'm kind of hoping he might be able to be the seventh guy. He has been signed $725K for 2 years as the AAV, not just qualified. He's been signed. And he adds an offensive game to the blue line that at times we look for more of. And Pulock and Taves, while they bring that, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit more dynamic skating, maybe like prime Letty, even though Letty's got a little bit of prime left. But he's slighter of frame, and it's more of a almost like having an extra forward out there, which could be great for power plays. But let's talk about how we're going to have to create the cap space, because the money we have available is maybe enough to sign just Barzal. Or if they want to sign Pulock and Taves, they might be able to do that with this, and then they have to create the money to sign Barzal. But I think if I were the GM, I would want Barzal signed first and then worry about it from there. So the Islanders have some contracts that they're going to have to move out if they want to sign people, because as we've illustrated, they don't have enough to sign everybody. So Letty was my first look. Letty could fit into a team that's still looking to compete now. His contract is not bad, 2 years at $5.5 million, and he still has, I think, some prime in him. It's on the back end of his prime. He's going to be 30 soonish, and it's not a big risk. It's 2 years, and he's been decent enough for the Islanders, and I think for any team he'll be top four. So you're getting a top four defenseman. So I think anything he's involved in is I almost said a Hickey already, a hockey trade. So something that we can get back. But at the same time, we're trying to create cap space, so maybe it's just draft capital. Hickey did not play NHL time last year, mostly because of Dobson coming up and Boychuk still being here. And we had a pretty good set of blue liners, Aho in the minors as well. Hickey got hurt also, and it ruined pretty much his whole year, and probably is the reason we went out and got Andy Green as more veteran influence, because Thomas Hickey could have been that and has had great playoff moments, so he could have been very useful in the playoffs, but he had a very tough injury to the head earlier in the year and basically had to play the whole year in the minors, and so the Islanders decided to outsource for defensive depth, veteran defensive depth. But Hickey, I think, is movable. He can be a bottom pairing defenseman for most teams in the league. I still think, is a completely capable defenseman that brings a little bit of offense, but is a good veteran influence for maybe a young right-handed defenseman that's on the bottom pair and is like trying to start, gain experience in the NHL. This is a good guy to gain experience with. Same idea with Boychuk, Johnny Boychuk, who has been pretty good for the Islanders and still has been pretty decent, even though in the playoffs Andy Green was playing over him. And I think a lot of that was Boychuk came in a little bit injured, and the Islanders also were moving parts around to see what fit, and Andy Green just fit really well on the bottom pair for us. But Boychuk still has NHL minutes to give, despite being like 37. He's got 2 more years at $6 million, so that makes it more of a cap dump situation for the Islanders. It's looking at Ottawa. Ottawa's got a lot of cap space. They had a great draft the other night, and they have some good left-handed defensemen who maybe could use an experienced right-handed defenseman that also gets them to the cap floor. Johnny Boychuk, come get your man. And those 2 left-handed defensemen are Brandstrom and Shabbat that I think he could pair with and be the yin-yang, because both of those guys have great offense, and Boychuk can pitch in offense, but also can be that gritty, two-way defenseman. Leo Komarov. Leo Komarov is, now we're getting to the harder part of the list. The defensemen on this list, I think, are movable. This gets tough. Komarov, we brought in to be a penalty killer. He takes a decent amount of penalties, which is a problem if you're going to be a penalty killer. Komarov adds almost no offense, but great locker room guy. And now I'm talking GM/coach cliches and player cliches. And I think he can fit a team, again, that has a lot of cap space. And I don't know. Komarov, whoever needs their penalty kill repaired, maybe Nashville. But Nashville might be in the running for Taylor Hall, apparently, so they might not have a lot of cap space that they can play around with. Andrew Ladd, 3 years left at $5.5 million. This is not very movable, but the Islanders do have their first-round pick next year. The Islanders could package their first, like a mega version of the Mark Stahl trade that just happened by the Rangers, where they gave away their second just to get rid of Mark Stahl. Andrew Ladd, with 3 years left at 5.5. Again, I'm looking at Ottawa with the amount of money they have. He's probably going to be in the minors anyway, so I think it only costs you 4.5 then. I think you save $1 million by stashing the guy in the minors. But also could fill out a bottom 6 role for Ottawa, a little bit of sandpaper, just a 4th liner basically at this point. And, again, Ottawa needs to get to the cap floor. So I'm looking at Ottawa, a team that we already have trade history with via the trade we just made with Pajot, which I think both teams are pretty happy with right now with the draft capital that the Senators were able to utilize, and the Islanders being really happy with how Pajot fits their team identity and also adds a lot of offense that the Islanders desperately needed. So, possible targets. Now, first of all, the trades that have to happen to get the free agents signed are going to have to happen soon because free agency is upon us. And the targets, Line A obviously is not a UFA. That's why I didn't put it as free agent targets. Line A apparently has been shopped around to a lot of Metro teams, if you believe the rumors. And Line A, obviously him playing with Barzal is just a dream, an absolute dream. But at the same time, he's making, I believe, 6.75 for 1 more year, and then he's a RFA again. I don't know. We're going to have to sign Beauvillier too next year. I think without moving Eberle as part of the Line A deal, I don't think it happens. So that's a pipe dream, but I put him at the top because I can dream. Mike Hoffman is getting a little bit older. I believe he'll be 30, maybe even 31 by the time the contract goes into effect. Hoffman, left wing, sniper. Line A, the right wing sniper there. We're looking at a lot of snipers here because that's agreed upon by most people to be what the Islanders need to continue the forward momentum they created in the playoffs. But Hoffman has the potential to be a really bad contract because he's coming off a couple of really good years. He's a great power play specialist, and he's a great sniper of the puck, but he will probably command a pretty good chunk of salary. Duclair, I have my eyes on as maybe the perfect fit for the Islanders. He didn't get qualified by the Ottawa Senators, and Ottawa very intertwined with the Islanders at the moment. Duclair has the potential. It's always been there with him, and putting him with Barzal in that first line as like a 1-year show-me deal for very cheap, kind of like Brassard just got, kind of like Leonard got before that, kind of like Valtteri Filppula. The Islanders and Lou have done a very good job of these 1-year reclamation deals where they are able to resuscitate a guy's career. And I think Duclair is a pretty decent player, and I think playing, even if it's down on the third line, with Pajot again, there's chemistry there. So Duclair is kind of my most realistic option at the moment, and this popped up out of nowhere, so it's a pleasant surprise for me. Toffoli, similar vein, a little bit more experienced, but I don't know, has just been okay. But I guess you could say the same with Duclair, but I think Duclair maybe is more motivated to get his game back to the potential that he's shown. Toffoli, also right winger. I think we're looking more for a right winger because on the left side, even though you can move them right to left, Lee, Bailey, Beauvillier, and obviously Martin or Johnson on the fourth. But I think we're looking for the right side more, where right now it's a little bit thinner. It's Eberle, it's Beauvillier if he plays on that line with Bailey, or possibly Broussard sometimes. But I think the right side probably could use a little bit more offensive scoring touch, and that's why I like Duclair and Toffoli as my two favorites probably. Hall, it's kind of a pipe dream because he's going to cost a decent amount, even though he cost himself some money with kind of mediocre postseason play. But I actually think he'll be either a Nashville Predator or a Colorado Avalanche, and in those situations might take a little bit less money. In the Colorado situation, more so, take less money to play on that incredibly talented forward group. Dadonov, another right wing option that could be a top liner with Barzal, but again, a little bit getting up there in age a little bit, so that might be Bobby Ryan, another in the vein of like a guy, a veteran, Lou, who already I think shows a love of veterans, and also a guy who's coming off kind of like a Leonard situation, really defeated some demons in his own life. Very, very happy for the guy, and maybe he still has something to give. Obviously, though, I think we're looking more for top-line sniper possibilities, and Toffoli and Duclair being younger and having a lot more opportunity to still grow are favored over Bobby Ryan. Galchenyuk, he could play center. I threw it there just because a few years ago I think we were hoping for Galchenyuk from the Canadiens at the time. I just threw it there because he can be a goal scorer, but when you flop in Pittsburgh with that incredible lineup, I don't know what else there is for you. He was okay with the Wild last year, but they didn't deem him necessary to keep. So, I don't know. So, yeah, in summary, Duclair and Toffoli have become my two favorite options in free agency because I think they can be cheap, and the Islanders are probably going to have to look for a cheap-ish option as whoever they bring in. In the minors, Bellows and Wahlstrom, I still think are really good options. Joshua Ho-Sang, I don't want to give up on him. There's actually a pretty good amount of young, cheap skill that is still possible for the Islanders to harness. Yeah, let's keep an eye out today and tomorrow. This is going to be gigantic for the Islanders' future, and getting Matt Barzal a more consistent line mate maybe than Eberle. But even if it's not the line mate with Eberle, maybe just to add scoring punch to the middle six. But that is the video. Thank you guys for watching, guys and gals for watching. Like and subscribe below. Comment what you think. I'm interested to hear what other Islander fans think of the options available, of who we can move, of which RFAs you would sign. So we'll see you next time on Belmont Bunch.